What up, Yang Gang? Well, whoops, what is this? Oh, okay. Yeah, I actually am going to be live streaming now this week, at least for a week, on the Trickle Ups YouTube channel. Because I did something wrong in my last live stream where they actually banned me for a week from live streaming. I'm not sure about uploads, but we'll see. But yeah, so I just want to give you guys a heads up before we get started. This is for the David Kim, Andrew Yang brunch. And so I'm also going to, so I'm going to have to build up the Trickle Ups YouTube channel. So if you guys are watching this, go to the YouTube channel, The Trickle Up, and follow there, subscribe, what I'm going to call it, on that YouTube channel, because I'm going to start doing this because, yeah, it's pretty, it sucks. I made a mistake. I don't know what it was, but excuse me, but it happened. So it is what it is. But we're gonna be going live here in a second. Let me see if I can excuse me, but it mute my own thing here. And let's look at the, let's see, how do I do this? Yeah, sorry guys. I'm just trying to, and right now we don't have the David Kim event is not loaded up yet. The event hasn't started for a few more minutes. So let me go to here. No, how do I do this? I gotta go to my channel. No, whoopsie. Sorry guys, I'm trying to learn this on the fly because I have to change everything in the middle of the day. Okay. See, I can't even create a community post. What the fuck? Oh boy. This might be a really tough week for me. So apparently I got a hey, what's up? What's up, Rob? Thanks for joining, brother. Yeah, so as you guys can see, this is on the Trickle Ups YouTube channel instead of my own. Because I got a strike for something. It doesn't really explain too much what it is. It's my first strike. So I can't post or go live on the Mindful Skeptics channel on YouTube. So yeah, I don't know. Something's happening. I'm reading the guidelines right now. It says I can't. So I can't even create a post. Okay, well that sucks. So it'll be on Twitch, stuff like that. Let me look this up because Twitch is something I'm not really familiar with either. I'm on there as live streaming there, but I have no idea what I'm doing. Let's see here. Where the hell is the video? See, guys, I have no idea what I'm doing on Twitch, unfortunately. Let me see here. How do I do this? Nope, that's not it. Wow, this is, yeah, Twitch is not my jam. But yeah, I'm trying to wait for this David Kim event to load. It's almost 2 o'clock. I think it's close. Okay. Is this working? Okay, here we go, guys. We're back up. Let me get this up for you. Let me make sure. Let me know if you guys hear the sound too. Ooh, this is terrible. What's going on here? I have no idea what's going on. So it looks like they're trying to get this thing going. There's just some young lady sitting there. I have no idea who these other people are in here. Taeyeon Kim, Haley Chun, David Kim's in the house, Abigail Neufeld. Oh boy. Yeah. So if you guys hear anything, let me know.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our VIPs in here. Let's see who's in here. We have Boyce, Davis. Hi, Katie. With Landon, Elisa. Let's see, Jane Ann. Got Haley, Aiden. Hi, Abby, Nate, Joseph, Nathan, Daniel. Oh, Clara's husband. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Hope you guys are having a great cup of coffee or a donut or an egg sandwich or another brunch item of choice. We are about to get started.
Okay. I'm going to jump off, guys. Here's the event. My bad.
Hello, everyone. Hope you can see. I can see and hear myself, so that's always an excellent sign. Hey, Cindy, how are you?
Hey, good to see you.
Hello.
David loving up.
Hi, Andrew.
Cool.
Hey, David, is that you beaming in?
I am beaming in with a big bright smile. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Your race. Wow, like a month out.
We have 30 days left, Andrew.
That's wild. How are the mechanics of California voting? Like, are people already getting ballots in?
Yeah, we just got our we got our mail-in ballots. Mine's right here.
Very exciting. Oh. I don't know. Oh, there you are. You're beaming back in.
Cool. Perfect. All right, Cindy, let's get started.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to start off with a lightning round Q&A for all the VIPs. So I have a list here of 16 VIPs who signed up. Thank you guys so much for your support. We're going to just give you a chance to unmute and show yourselves to Andrew and David and ask any questions that you have. So let's get started. David, can you try speaking so I can make sure I can hear you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, awesome. Yes. Okay, so let's start with, Landon. Are you in here, Landon? If you want to unmute and turn on your camera, we'd love to hear from you. Any questions that you might have for Andrew and David?
Sweet. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome.
Hey, Landon. Welcome.
Thanks. Cool. Yeah. So here's a question I have. I've struggled with depression for many years, and I've seen how the COVID crisis and the economic pressure and the widespread, low emotional intelligence has been impacting those around me mentally. And I'm wondering how we can solve the mental health crisis in California and this country.
I'll take a shot at that. The first thing we have to do is start actually acknowledging the severity of the crisis and how widespread mental health struggles are. There's still a stigma against it in many communities. But if you were to actually show where we are, you would see that we are in a terrible, terrible place where the country is concerned, California among it. And after you get a baseline, then you'd have to look at what we could do to invest in our mental health. So we all know I'm for, and David's for, universal basic income. David, I'm not sure if you're for some of these other things I'm about to throw out there too, but I think a 4-day work week would help a lot. I think having, I figure you would be. I think we need to get our arms around what social media is doing to our brains. I think that to see someone. There actually is someone. If you go to a lot of rural parts of the country, and California, I'm sure, like you actually don't have any counselors, therapists, psychologists even available. And there are many people who'd love to fill that role. It's just we make getting to that point very difficult and expensive for folks. So I would invest in a giant mental health initiative from the top down. But the first thing is to acknowledge where we are right now, which is in need of help.
That's awesome. Great answer. What about you, David? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, before, excuse me. Can you guys, first of all, see my video? I think we're having some technical issues.
We can't, but we can hear you.
Oh, man. Okay. I'll try to borrow someone's laptop. But yeah, I mean, meanwhile, I think it's important for us to really prioritize things that our people really need right now. And I think Landon nailed it on the dot. One of the things that we neglected and ignored for so long are our own mental and emotional health. And with that being said, how are our families coping with this during these times? What are we doing for each family unit, especially with having children at home, and even with our children and adolescents themselves? And I think on a long-term scale, it's one of the things that we can look at to show if we're prioritizing or not is the allocation of our funds. Why is it that we're allocating millions for police presence at our schools instead of allocating for mental health counselors, for counselors that would be able to provide them extra help and assistance that they need? So I think it's first definitely the awareness, the acknowledgement that it's a high priority, and then the action that needs to be taken with it. Yes, of course, including mental health care in all of healthcare coverage and providing that as more accessible is key. But I think the first and foremost thing is it a priority for our elected officials? Because if it is, then yes, we can do so many things with that.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Thank you, Landon. Great question.
Thanks, Landon.
Awesome. Okay, next we have Aiden Rude, our super fellow. Okay, Aiden, let's hear it.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can see you too. Hey, Aiden.
Awesome.
Hey,
Hi, Andrew. Hi, David. Well, thank you so much for taking my question. First of all, thank you to Andrew. Thank you to David for everything he's doing. And thank you to Andrew for being someone who really changed my life and set me on the path I'm on now. I've been an organizer for 3 candidates now, with Andrew being the first. So thank you so much for that. My question is, thank you. So my question is, as a 15-year-old who's working in the political arena on campaigns and stuff, I know a lot of young people who don't really get involved because they don't have a vote. They see, change isn't happening around them, and they feel like, as like kids or teenagers or however old they are, they just, what they have to say doesn't really matter. So a lot of people, don't want to volunteer, don't want to get involved. So what would be a message you'd give, or a message I could give to all these young people who, as to why they should care about politics and get involved in the process?
I mean, the single biggest thing is just to look at you. You'd be like, I'm like 3 candidates deep. I didn't even vote yet. I'm making a bigger difference than like 99% of people who do vote, which is true. I'm sure you are. And so people seeing you in action, Aiden, you'll be like, wait a minute, you can do that? Campaigns actually want like a 15-year-old to help? And they're like, oh yeah, they really do. And then the issues that young people care about around, I'm just going to take a guess, climate change, mental health issues, firearm legislation, like whatever it is that the person cares about. It's like, look, we can actually make an impact on these things right now, even before we can vote. And you probably know, Aiden, I was for trying to lower the voting age to 16, which I suggest would also be something that a lot of young people would like, because they're like, yeah, like the argument being, look, you can drive a car, you can pay taxes, you should have a say on where those taxes go, and it would transform high schools around the country. This is not that, like, I think something like 100 members of Congress voted for a bill like this, which actually means that there's a chance that we could actually make that law. But the main thing really is just to demonstrate through action. Like if people see you doing what you're doing, Aiden, then young people will be like, wait, that would actually be maybe the best argument. They're like, look, a lot of companies and employers won't employ you in ways that actually make use of your talents, but political campaigns totally will.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And And Aiden, I think you're like a living testament and example. I think but besides giving them words, I think what you're striving and fighting for is enough. I think and also kind of on a strategic, I mean, because a lot of, I mean, at that age, I know the first question that came up for me is what's in it for me? And I think it's about framing the conversation. Like, what's in it for you? Do you want, I mean, not to be a Debbie Downer or negative Nancy of, do you want a country where we have pollution everywhere? And not in that sense, but then also on a flip side, like if they're applying for college and doing apps and whatnot, like volunteering for a campaign is a huge thing to write about. It could be that thing and basis for your personal statement when you're writing, and that's where you're able to really show like what you're fighting and passionate about. And I think by starting and helping out on a campaign, that's where young people like yourself can start to figure out what's my place in society, what am I passionate about, what things strike a chord in me, what gets me on fire. And I think those are the things that are really things for you guys to walk away with. And and thank you for helping out with our campaign, Aiden. You've been, oh my gosh, a tremendous support. But yeah, keep on doing what you're doing, Aiden. I think you have what it is to go ahead and answer all those questions. Cool. Cindy?
I love it. You're the math head and the Patriots, which, you know, I give the Patriots a hard time, but whatever. It's only because they've been whipping my team for decades. I mean, who cares?
Oh my gosh. Andrew, who are your favorite teams, by the way?
I know on the football side, like I was a Jets fan growing up, so that was always tough watching the Patriots beat them. And then now I'd say I'm kind of a nomad, or I'm a little bit teamless because the Jets have become, you know, impossible to root for for a couple of reasons.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have here, I think, Stuart.
Yeah. Hey, Andrew.
Stuart Krasno. Hi, Stuart. Nice to see you.
Stuart.
Wow. All I can say is, first of all, you know, how great to have two people who understand that government can be about putting people first. And I think to that end, I think what has happened is we left into the future. What we're doing right now and how we all, you know, we live in a world kind of no traffic and, you know, wearing sweatpants now. And I really don't want to go back to the other way of doing business now that I know I can do it from my dining room. What do you think is going to happen? Are we creating sort of these ghost cities? What's going to happen to our bigger buildings, especially, you know, David, I just walk, you just drive anywhere in LA now. It just feels like these office buildings are almost like ghost towns, and they're creating almost more havoc than they even were before. So I guess, you know, what's the future think on how we adjust to the fact that many of us might just want to do work like this from now on? What happens to the buildings?
Yeah, I can go on first on this one, and Andrew can follow up. I was walking the other day just with some other campaign team members, and we noticed just a lot of buildings, like what you said, office buildings being vacant, and then schools just being completely empty. What are they being used for? And I think this is something that we can all, like here in Los Angeles, I know that some of you are aware, some of you may not be, but we spent $600,000 on building a single unit for our unhoused community members, where we could be spending a lot less than that, when we could be taking over buildings that aren't being used, when we could be using different means and utilizing them for others. And so I think that's one area that we really need to tap into and think about as a city and as a community. But then in terms of the future as it stands, I mean, for those who are able to work from home, I mean, they're fortunately one of the few that are able to go ahead and do that, because what we know is that the majority of people, especially our essential workers, aren't able to work from home behind a desktop or a laptop, or live stream from home and work from home in that. And so obviously there's going to be advancements and developments in those careers that are able to do that. But how do we also take care of those that are currently out there working as essential workers, especially during this pandemic? But I mean, like what Andrew, and then on another note, what Andrew had shared earlier, I envision a 4-day work week in the future as well. What does that all look like in terms of how everything plays together? Are we really focusing on human beings being a work output and a work number only, or are we really viewing them as being human life themselves, having value because they're human? And so I think with that, once we're able to prioritize that, then I feel like we'll continue to revolutionize in the work industry and labor force that we have right now. And so I'm curious as to how that will develop as well. But I'm totally curious to see what Andrew's thoughts on that are.
Yeah, Stuart, I agree with David in the sense that we have a lot of hotels that should definitely be getting utilized as shelters right now, essentially, because you have like essentially unused, right? Like who's traveling? You know, it's like if you look at like the hotels in LA, like how many business travelers they really hosting right now, and then you turn around and then there are people on the streets everywhere. So we need to try and meet the supply to the need. That does not apply to most office buildings, which you would not use as shelters. And commercial real estate is going to be unused and vacant for months and months until there's a vaccine. And even post-vaccine, I agree, there are a lot of people like you, Stuart, who do not want to go back to the old way of doing things. And so you come up with like a rolling wave of some kind of repurposing of some of those buildings. Not all. Probably we're just going to end up being shells. And you're right that there are real problems with that. Right? Like if you don't upkeep a building properly. So that we're going to have this set of derelict buildings for the foreseeable, honestly, you know, and it wouldn't make sense to go and try and demo any of these buildings right now.
Great.
I would not want to be a commercial landlord right now. That's for sure. Because like, who the heck would talk into like coming in, like renting our office? You know,
right. Exactly. Exactly.
I shouldn't laugh.
Awesome.
I mean, land too. You know, it's just one reason we need government intervention for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, great points. Okay, well, let's move on and start getting more questions. Do we have Paul Yee in here? Paul Yee. Otherwise, let's go to Katie. Katie, yeah. Katie, are you in here?
Katie just sent a check. No, I'm kidding. Is Katie around?
We'll take a check too.
She's like, I'm down.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Katie.
Hi. Oh my God, two of my favorite people. Well, one of the things that I am very curious about is sort of the future of healthcare. I think this pandemic has really struck a nerve with the country because we see so many people who are without, and our social safety nets have been completely devastated during this pandemic. So I know, Andrew, when you first were running, you were not for Medicare for all. And so I wonder, has there been some evolution on that thought? Where do you think we're going to land in terms of healthcare in this country?
I've been for universal healthcare and a public option the whole time. And certainly the pandemic has made that evident to even folks who weren't on board. But yeah, universal healthcare is a must. The big problem right now, Katie, is that we're spending twice as much on our healthcare as other countries. There's just a lot of companies, drug companies, insurance companies, et cetera, that are making a ton of money off of a ton of inefficiency right now. I just talked to a woman yesterday who was talking about how in California, there's a fight for you all. David, you should get in on this, where there are insurance companies that are essentially profiting off of old-fashioned ways of delivering dialysis treatment, where you have the patient go to the dialysis center. It's very expensive, but they're making a lot of money. And now you have portable dialysis machines that can make that such that it's much cheaper and easier for the patient. So, of course, the insurance companies are fighting portable dialysis. And there's like a ruling right now. It's going to trial in California as to whether that's going to be the law of California. It's a really, really big deal. I mean, these insurance companies are literally like, hey, we're making a lot of money, so it doesn't matter what's good for the patients. Let's just keep making this happen. So it's that type of battle times 100, times 1,000, times 10,000, because there are so many of these companies that are making so much money off of current practices. So you have that on one side, and then you have all these uninsured people on the other side who are looking up being like, what is going on? Like, you know, why is it so expensive? Why can't I get a hold of it? It's a massive structural and incentive problem, and there's no real way to solve it that does not involve government going in and trying to provide better incentives and better access, there are going to be some people that make less money, but that's just the way it's going to go. Ideally, I'm even describing best case.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And Katie, you know that I'm for Medicare for all. In regards to, in addition to all of the reforms that we need to make, I think something that to really point out is that our hospitals also don't have, they're not being regulated as much as they could be. I know that I worked on a Kaiser versus Prime Healthcare hospital litigation case, and obviously for confidential reasons, I can't share what I saw in there, but it just made me think, wow, we need to have the government to step in, because there's no reason that there should be this much money being mismanaged and misused, whether that be with salaries or administrative costs or items that are made onto the accounting sheet that you really can't verify to a certain extent. And so I think with all of this, like, the people are really taking the short end of the stick with all of this, because it's all about corporate profits, all about short-term maximization of profits. And so that's really the core of why these problems continue to happen. So I think, yes, Medicare for all reform, that's all great, but we also need to be vigilant as to where we can actually be more efficient. So yeah, thank you for
asking. I heard in Taiwan, where they have national health care, and they are blown away by how easy and cheap everything is.
Taiwan! Sorry, proud Taiwanese over here. Thank you so much, Katie. Awesome. We'll go to Brad next. Hey, Brad, you're up.
Hello there. Cool. So my question is, I heard about there are a lot of other modern countries that have groups, like a council, that will regularly look at their minimum wage and other measurements of the economy, inflation, things like that, and regularly change their minimum wage. And one of the things I've been thinking about is it would be cool if we had some kind of a council like that looked at minimum wage and the UBI that we're giving out, and are looking at the economic measurements on a regular basis, 6 months, every year, maybe every 2 years. Because as we know, we haven't changed our federal minimum wage in a really long time. And so now imagine if we're able to get UBI through, and then, another 10 years or 2 decades goes by, and now the UBI is kind of irrelevant. So have either of you guys ever considered or heard about those groups in other countries that are regularly changing it? And have you ever thought about doing something like that here?
Thanks for the question. UBI, in my mind, should be pegged to cost of living. So, it would float with whatever is happening to our prices. But I have seen these councils in other countries, and America really should use them in the same way. And so there are different versions of it. You could have groups of people consider all sorts of questions. That there something called deliberative polling or civic juries. So one of the problems right now we have in American life is we run polls and we're like, hey, Brad, what do you think of this? And you haven't studied anything on the topic. You're just like, well, I think we should do this, and then we should do that. And we're like just turning to all of us. So the way deliberative polling works is you have a group of people who represent the United States population, but then you actually give them time and information and different inputs and policy points of view, and then they come out with a judgment on things. And lo and behold, most people generally agree with the judgment. It's sort of like a sense that the common sense would be superior to the judgment of our legislative bodies a lot of the time. Example, like right now with our stimulus relief bill, if you got a group of random Americans together and said, hey, you think we should like some young people, it's like, 90% of people are like, yes. And then really, like out of Congress, it's like, they can't get it done. So different councils make a lot of sense. I would love to have advisory councils on and deliberative polling and civic juries on things other than economics. So economics would be a very good first place to look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree and piggyback on that. I'm in support of those councils in terms of being more connected as to what should actually be an appropriate rate for all of us, because all of us know, especially here in Los Angeles, while everything else is rising, the prices of whether it be rent or mortgage or cost of goods, all of that are rising, but our income isn't. I remember seeing something the other day where since the 70s, like our prices have continued to gone up. If our minimum wage had done also, it would be well over 22 2 or around that number. And so I think these are realities that we can't continue to ignore and just bury into the sand and say, oh, it doesn't exist. Like, no, we don't need to work on that. And again, it all comes down to priority of what our elected officials have. Like, what are they fighting for? And apparently it's not that right now. So unfortunately, thank you for
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Brad. Okay, we're gonna just wrap it up with one more question, and so we can head on to the rest of our program. And we have, let's see, Gilbert Galan. Please share with us your question. Hey, Gilbert.
What's up, guys?
Hi, Gilbert.
Kim, Anthony, Sharp, David, who like a politician I would vote for, and or a flight attendant for Hawaiian Airlines. What's up, man?
Okay, Gilbert, what's your question?
My question is just for both of you, like, just on a personal level, like you both are in relationships, and you're in this crazy political like chaos right now, and just being in the public eye. How do you guys deal with your partners when they are feeling a little like, hey, pay attention to me? What is the pragmatic approach to that?
The pragmatic approach is to try to be on the ball and present when you actually are, like with the family, because if someone's doing work while they're supposed to be like minding the kids or whatever, and they're like, this is, so often the way that, it's almost like easier if like you're like working and everyone knows you're working, versus like when you're supposed to be on family time and your attention's wandering. So the main thing is just to be present when you're supposed to be present. And I find that goes well in my marriage.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know how Andrew does it all with being a dad, being a husband. I give you mad props, Andrew. Yeah, well, for me, I mean, it's just my boyfriend at this point, but I'm thankful. I think it's exactly what Andrew said, being present. I know that there's a lot of times where I'm like talking to him, but I have like 10 campaign things in my head. But it's really just emptying that all out, but then also being intentional in terms of knowing what I'm going to get into the 5 love languages, but knowing what your partner's love language is and communicating in that. So if your partner's love language is spending time or words of affirmation, connecting on that. And I know for mine, it's time. So I try to intentionally carve out time. That's one of his biggest ones. Andrew, it looked like you were
Yes.
What is it? Love language. I gotta start learning some love languages.
I'll send you a book, Andrew.
There's 5.
5 love languages.
Yeah, 10 for women. I'm just kidding. Thanks, Gilbert. Whoa, thanks everyone. That's the end of our Q&A. Okay, I'm going to toss it over to Christine O'Connor for our next section.
Hi, everyone. My name's Christine. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. Christine.
Oh, really? Awesome. So I am the press director and co-policy director on David's campaign.
You guys, please don't ever run. Please don't ever run. Same thing. It's going to hurt us a lot.
I'm sorry, David.
That's okay, Christine. Go ahead.
All right. So first question. I'm going to read 3 statements, and you guys have to figure out which one is the lie. So here we go. This one's about David's political activation. David became politically activated while working on Kenneth Mejia's campaign. David worked as a volunteer coordinator on that campaign. David was briefly registered with the Green Party while working on Kenneth's campaign. Which one is the lie?
Is that for me? Because I certainly would love for David to answer this one.
Can you guess?
Oh, geez. Strangely enough, I'm gonna guess the second one.
Yes, that is correct. David did not work as a volunteer coordinator. In fact, he was a video coordinator and a canvasser and a phone banker.
Yes. Nice. Wow. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right. This one is for David. This one's about Andrew's endorsers. Andrew was endorsed by social media CEO Mark Zuckerberg. Andrew was endorsed by tech leader Elon Musk. And Andrew was endorsed by actor Nicolas Cage.
The first one. Mark
That
Zuckerberg
is correct.
endorsed him. Yes.
That is correct. He did not endorse
Really?
that. Andrew,
Well, Mark-
in fact, was endorsed by social media CEO Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, the remarkable thing about it was those other two statements were true.
Really? Oh,
The Yang gang, it's true.
Nicholas
all
Cage.
right. Let's see. This one is about David and UBI. So Andrew, this one's for you. UBI is one of 7 core policies that David collectively refers to as a floor to stand on. David spoke at the LA Basic Income March for 2 years in a row. And the third is David is the second person to bring a UBI trial to Los Angeles after Mayor Garcetti, who is a member of Mayors for Basic Income.
Did you see this?
I'm going to say number 3 because I don't think that Garcetti's LA trial has launched yet.
That is true. David is the very first before Mayor Garcetti, who is a member of Mayors for Basic Income. This partnership between David's campaign and Steady will track the effectiveness of UBI and help to provide evidence for its usefulness. All right.
Thank you.
Very good, you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, this one is for David. This one's about immigration reform.
Okay.
First statement, our immigration quotas are...
Ooh, lost you. Christine, you there?
Do you want to tell me?
Yeah, I think they're
Okay.
gonna switch it.
Got it. My phone ready.
Cool.
Smart water, the only water Andrew Yang drinks.
Great ad, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
I got your feedback.
All right.
All right.
So, statement 1, our immigration quotas are outdated and do not reflect current needs. Statement 2, it can take up to 10 years to get a green card through our current system. And statement 3, legal visa holders can be displaced or deported by an executive order.
So say the 3 again.
Sure.
Yeah.
Our immigration quotas are outdated and do not reflect our current needs.
Mm-hmm.
It can take up to 10 years to get a green card through our current system. Legal visa holders can be displaced or deported by an executive order.
I'm going to get the second one, David. I think it's even longer than 10 years. That's my guess.
Well, I don't think there's a time limit. I'm just trying to go through the Rolodex of cases in our firm. I mean, okay, I'll go with second.
That is correct. It can take up to 20 years or more to get a green card.
Wow.
20 years is pretty long.
I knew it. Never underestimate American bureaucracy.
All right, David, this one is for you again. The first statement, this is about Andrew's past. So statement number 1, from 2000 to 2005, Andrew Yang worked at a series of startups. Statement 2, Andrew earned his JD from Brown University. Statement 3, Andrew Yang grew up in New York.
Number 2?
That is correct.
Okay.
Andrew earned his JD from Columbia.
Yes. Got it.
Yeah, Brown doesn't even have a law school. That's why you never met anyone. That's not even a thing.
I was going through and I was like, I don't remember ever applying to Brown.
Awesome. One more.
All right, Andrew, this one is for you. This is about David in Congress. Statement 1, David will be the first Korean American to represent LA's Koreatown. Statement number 2, David's dream committee is in ethics. And statement 3, when elected, David's first priority will be enacting meaningful COVID-19 relief legislation.
The first one is true. For whatever reason, I'm like doubting the third one makes sense to me. So I'm doubting the second one. Like, I feel like his dream committee would be something. I mean, I think you would like ethics, but I feel like there could be other things. So I'm going to say the second.
Okay.
That is correct.
That's correct.
David's dream committee
Wow,
is either budget or weights and means.
You know what it is? David's a very practical sort, and I mean, you know, it's like I thought it would be something that would like touch people's lives very directly. Look at that.
You know your endorsements well, Andrew. Thank you, Christine.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Thank you guys.
thank you. We're gonna kick it over to Peter.
All right, what's up, everyone? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. What's up, everyone? I want to give a thank you to each and every one of you guys for coming out here and supporting the David Kim congressional campaign. If you're wondering who if you can't see me, but if you're wondering who this little Asian kid introducing this event is, my name is Peter Din, and I'm a fellow for the David Kim campaign. I'm 17 years old. I'm a community activist in my hometown of West Covina, California. WC represent, and I'm also a member of a political TikTok group, POC Politics, which is how I met David in the first place. So when I first talked to David, I wanted to interview him because he was an Asian American running for Congress, and we usually don't see that. When I spoke to him, I saw that there was a representation far deeper than our individual ethnicities. I think I saw a representation of values between David and I. The value that you cannot claim to be a champion for working class people while taking money from special interests that prevent them from surviving and having a living wage. The value that you cannot tweet climate change is real while taking money from the very corporations that make it real in the first place. David understands that, and he understands that it is not enough to just be a progressive candidate. It is enough to be a progressive candidate with integrity. 2 years ago, I got open heart surgery. And when David found out about that, he messaged me on Instagram, and he told me how inspired he was about me. And when I first saw that notification, I was like, this is somebody that deserves to be in office. And this is somebody that, excuse my language, but I'm going to work my ass off to get in office. And I'm not alone in that. Between, you know, he has supporters from the Zoomer generation to the Boomer generation, and they're all equally excited about the movement he's creating and what he's about. And also, I'm going to be honest, when I first talked to David, I wasn't really sold on the idea of a UBI yet. I'm sorry, Andrew Yang, but I genuinely wasn't. But when talking to David, I think he sold it to me in one simple phrase, which I'm going to summarize because I don't want to, you know, bash the quote. But he basically said money is power, and a universal basic income gives power to the people. We all know it is time for a Green New Deal. We all know it is time for Medicare for all. We all know it is time for a universal basic income. But most importantly, we know it is time for somebody in DC that looks like me and you and understands the problems that me and you face every day because he's experienced them himself. David is that person. And as much as David says he's inspired by my story, I can tell him 1,000 times more that I'm inspired by him, his existence, his campaign, the people behind his campaign, and the movement that he's leading. I think that David Kim is the real deal. And if we want change in this country, we can't have anything short of that. So I'm proud to say that David Kim is fighting to give me a floor to stand on when it has felt like my entire life there have been interests trying to take it from under me. So with that being said, I want to introduce the very talented Clara, who will be performing for us today. And finally reiterate another thank you to David and his wonderful campaign for giving me the opportunity to speak. And I thank you again for all of you fighting to give power back to the people, one donation at a time. Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the event and have a great day. I know you can't see me, but I'm smiling right now. See you guys.
Thank you, Peter.
So much, Peter.
Good time. So we're here to talk more about the state of things because there is quite a state of things. There's a lot going on. What do you feel like? Where are we as a country? Where are we going? Over to either of you.
We're going either to 4 more years of disastrous leadership or 4 years of a chance to rebuild. And having David in Congress increase the chances of that rebuild being genuine and human and successful, as opposed to like a slightly less bad version of the track we're on. So, you know, we have a lot on the line this November. Having David represent 34th California district would be enormous for so many people. And we're in the last mile right now. Like, votes are literally getting tallied. So a very, very deep, dark hole, which is pretty much where we are right now, or a chance for something better.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm not going to add anything other than, we're going to either a really dark ages again, or we're going to be able to push a temporary pause on everything that's happening and be able to finally have some space, some time to think things through, to re-strategize on how we can start moving forward. So please vote for Biden and Kamala, for those who are watching, because our country, our communities are on the line for the next few years.
And get David Kim into Congress. That's what we're here for.
Yes.
And I mean, with that said, where can we go? Is voting kind of the only place we have to look to? Where can we go?
No, I'd say the first things we can do, really, it's in our own lives, our own mental health, our own physical health. I mean, right now, we're online. We're all together online. But life is still happening in the real world. So you just have to take care of yourself, your loved ones. If you and your family are good, then everything else becomes more possible, frankly. So first and foremost, help yourself, family members, people in your community directly. And then if we can help people like David win their races, if we can help organizations that are helping people, the more, first, if you have a foundation, which is what David's fighting for, then the more you do for others, the stronger it makes you. So there are a lot of things that we can do right now, but it starts with yourself, your mind, body, spirit, your relationships, your families.
Yep, is one of the first things we could do, but it's also one of the last things we could do, given how you see it. So it's a matter of, if you can't go out there and stand and protest because whatever reasons, that's your call. But what are you doing in terms of staying connected with the issues, because these issues aren't just important to other communities; they're important to your own community, because they're all interconnected. It's not just me in this world. I'm actually a part of this world into which I play and interact. And so I think it's a matter of just still having the hope, personally connecting within yourself, connecting with your family, connecting with others, because that's how we can really start to mobilize and organize. And so even if it's not just talking about politics or government all the time, it's talking about, hey, like, what can we be doing right now as a community or as a family during this pandemic? What can we do? What can we be doing about our emotional, mental health as a community, as a family, as friends right now? And I think those conversations, yeah, they're talked about on the national scene in news, but I think they're conversations that also need to be started in our own groups as well. So.
Yeah, could not agree more. Did you have something to add? Sorry.
No, one thing I love about David's campaign is it feels more human than political. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's one of the things that that I tried to reflect myself when I was running. There are a lot of Americans who are turned off by politics, and I understand it very much so. And David's essence and spirit really, it does transcend what you see from most politicians, and I think people gravitate towards that very, very significantly. It's why David's doing so great and poised to grow and grow, and then upend the establishment and win in just 30 days or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Andrew. I was just gonna say, Congress has, once we win, all eyes are going to be on us, and we're going to go in there with humanity, with compassion, with that kind of fierceness, but then also with an aspect of humanity and love. Clara, before you continue, I just realized that we haven't actually talked about Tan.
Oh my goodness, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, we don't need to?
Let's do a little plug. Tayan, everybody, is a talented storyboard artist, and she's art pieces that are going to be live auctioned at the end of this. And so stay tuned for that. But back to the question. Can we get back to the question now?
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
So yeah,
this is me personally. Claire, did I miss a musical performance by you? Because I've been like watching your videos in preparation for today. And so now I feel like
we gotta keep it.
Oh, sorry, out of order.
Okay, so yes, I can't agree anymore. Everyone has their own lane they can occupy. They can help in their own way, whether it's conversations or just working on self or donations, voting, of course, but why vote? And because voting is something that is so intimidating for a lot of folk, and most people just kind of see the president and the vice president. And if I can amend the question to why vote, but it's also like how to vote, how to go about finding out about local and state.
Candidate about politics, or didn't even know their member of Congress was, and then after they get excited about you, then they start caring about various local candidates, local issues. I think a lot of it is when you get behind that person. And one thing that's happening, I'm sure, to you, David, is that like after you follow or support one candidate, then you'll discover a couple of other great people who are trying to do good things too, and like the same community. And if we can do that, then politics will become much more relevant to a lot of people. Because I agree with you, Clara. It's like you look up at top ticket and you're like, or maybe you do have a strong feeling about one candidate or the other, but you also have this instinct, well, like my vote's not, they 100% will matter at the local level. So we need more awesome people like David to run, because you have to give them a reason to feel like their voting actually will make a difference in their lives.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a matter. Don't overwhelm yourself for thinking, oh my gosh, there's so many ballots and measures and propositions and candidates that I need to vote on, and I don't have time to catch up on all of that. I think it's a matter of finding something that you're and when did or the leaders leading that movement or campaign, because then you'll find out, oh, these are the values that I'm fighting for. This is the community that I can trust, and then you'll be more exposed to that. So just take it step by step, just like with everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And speak to people why we should pay attention to down ballot races and what they are, maybe even.
Yeah, down ballot races are just local races. David's running for U.S. Congress, so that's it's down ballot from the presidential, but it's like a very significant race. I mean, down ballot supervisor, any of those races, again, not that many people we can make a huge difference. I guarantee you, if you reached out to your school board member and were like, hey, I'm going to campaign for you and help you, they would love you. They all of a sudden would be like, and those down ballot races are enormously important because most policies actually get implemented in a town is probably going to be more relevant to you than a lot of other stuff that's coming out of Washington. So if you can figure out, and a lot of that stuff happens in the dark, in the sense that that people aren't paying as much attention as they should. So if you actually start identifying down ballot candidates, you'd see the important work that gets done on the school board, the city council. Everything else. And that
again, it's our community, levels, backgrounds of life, and so that's something that all of us.
Go the circular route, in the sense that it's like, oh, down ballot's important because eventually they'll be up ballot. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. I mean, the positions themselves are crucial.
Right. And why this race? Why now? Over to you, David.
Okay. Yeah. I'll go ahead and do it. Yeah. Why this race? So for those who are tuning in who don't live in the district, we're one of the poorest congressional districts out of the 435. We have per capita incomes that are less than the average rent of one-bedroom apartments. We have the 12th lowest median income in the nation out of all the congressional districts. We have over 40,000 brothers and sisters living unhoused. The numbers continue to climb. And it's a matter of our government, our elected officials here on the city level aren't working for us. They're deeply involved in their pay-to-play schemes with developers and city politics and the corruption of it all. And so we actually need county, state, federal officials stepping in to stop that. But then when they're also participating in the same game of political bribery and corruption, what hope do the people have? And so right now, I think we're in a desperate state where it's urgent times. We can't waste another 2 years to reelect somebody and hope for change to happen when it's the same people that's been in office. And so because every decision that is made or every decision that is not made affects thousands of lives in our district and millions of lives across the country. And so for us, we want somebody that's 100% grassroots, people powered, that is not bought out to corporate interests. And we want somebody that's fighting for stronger fundamental issues. And so that's fighting for recurring monthly cash relief during a pandemic like this, and not fighting for a means-tested rent relief fund that to have people jump through hoops to prove that they have no money. That's not the type of elected official that we want in terms of manifesting the will of the people. And so it's very important that we step up and we become the change that we've been waiting for. And so it's very crucial in our race, especially here in Los Angeles. You would think that we would be the leading voices in Congress, but we're not. We're just a follower. And enough with that, because that's not what Los Angeles needs. We have people moving here to fulfill and pursue their dreams. And this city, I mean, if we don't fix it up, we won't be able to continue that. And that's one of the things that I'm really fighting for, to make Los Angeles back to being a city of dreamers where people are moving here, pursuing their passions and life callings. Because that's why we were born into this world, not to toil and slave away like ants till the last day that we breathe, but to really thrive and to pursue what we've been called to do in this life.
Well, why this race? It's really about the candidate, because David Kim is a remarkable human being who genuinely wants to do better for people, and he sees the problems and limitations of what the current approaches are. So would this race be the race if not for David? Of course not. But David is here, and David wants to make things demonstrably and dramatically better, and he's going to be a massive upgrade over his opponent, the incumbent. So we have to get behind him and give him every chance to get in there and then fight for us in the U.S. Congress. And if David does win, then it's going to be a political earthquake, because this is going to be one of those things where it's like, what? Yeah, where it's like an incumbent who didn't immerse himself in scandal, lost to a grassroots funded opponent. I mean, like that would be a massive national story, as it should be. And it's only possible because David is who he is. So when you ask why this race, it's like you have to get behind remarkable candidates when they emerge and give them what they need to win.
Yeah. I think you guys are both so inspirational and necessary, important. And I think authenticity is a big theme for me that I see. And so thank you guys for that. That's the end of the Q&A.
I'm just going to give a shout out too. We need to do more to support musicians and artists. Right now, the economy in terms of supporting musicians and artists is it's exploitative essentially at this point. I mean, you have people who amass hundreds of thousands or millions of views in your case. The streaming services pay you fractions of a penny. And now there's no touring on the table. And so, you have an entire industry of creatives that inspire us all, touch us all, vital for the culture, incredibly productive economically, even if you were just to try and say hey, how many jobs does this create? So we should be doing much, much more to support artists. And I know David feels the same way. It's very humanity first.
Yes. Just makes sense.
Yeah.
You're gonna make me cry. Okay. On that note, I guess I'll perform now. Is that cool?
Clara, just before. Oh, and then Andrew, I know that you do have to go at in 5 minutes, but Clara will now be entering her performances, so you're welcome.
I'm not gonna leave while Clara's singing. I mean, for sure. At least I gotta hear, like my new favorite song.
Yeah.
So I'll like. So yeah, Clara, please. That was sort of like an introduction of Clara without meaning to be. We need to support artists.
Yeah,
That's the way artists. Like we need to let artists do their work.
Yeah. This is my first show since the pandemic hit. You know, like all tours were up. Yeah. So here we go. First song, I put together some things. Let's see if you recognize them. I still believe in man. No wise one ask me why. 'Cause I just don't believe we're wicked. I know that we sin, but I do believe we try. We all try. The girls try. The boys try. Men try. Women try. You and I try. Me and all my friends, we're all misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing and there's no way we ever could. Now we see everything that's going wrong with the world and those who lead it. Just feel like we don't have the means to rise above and beat it. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting. I still believe in man. I still believe in man. No wise one ask me why. 'Cause I just don't believe we're wicked. I know that we sin, but I do believe we try. We all try. The girls try. The boys try. Men try. Women try. You and I try.
Woo! Yay, Clara, so beautiful. Yay.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I got one. Andrew, are you leaving?
I'll stick around for this song. That was so beautiful. Hey, David, this should be like some of your campaign music.
Yes.
It's kind of a mashup of a Frank Ocean song and a John Mayer song. But yes, this next one is my original. And it's kind of about when I decided that I had been raised passive and it's time to have a voice and it's time to think for myself and figure out who I sing for, what I sing for, etc. So, it's a song called Quesadilla.
That's what you stand for.
Grilled cheese, yeah. Can you guys hear okay? Everything's fine? Okay. I can't hear my own voice above all the rest. It's being silenced by your noise. How should it get? The question lies after your lies undressed. Whoa, 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 do I sing? Whoa, said it's not you. It's not you. It's not you. It's not you. See, I wake up to realize it's not just a dream. 'Cause I'm here with Andrew and David, and you're the looking back at me. Oh, you tuned in with mine and allowed me to see. Whoa, 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 I see. Oh, Okay. I won't settle anymore. I get less than I settle for. I won't settle anymore. I get less than I settle for. Won't settle anymore. I get less than I settle for. Won't settle anymore. I get less than I settled for.
Yay! That was awesome, Clara.
That's amazing.
Don't settle for anything less than David Kim as your member of Congress. That's right. So inspirational, so talented, awesome. That's what we need more of in the world. I can't believe it's the first concert you played for this length of time. I feel like you should just be playing on the regular, Clara, because so many people would just be uplifted by it.
Thank you. I shall. Same with you guys. Power to
Yeah,
you.
that would be
No one
great.
wants to hear you sing and strum guitar, Clara. That's just you.
Oh, we all have our own. You're strumming guitar in your ways, you know.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that's true. That's true. We all have our own messages to deliver in different ways. David, so thrilled for you, brother. Let's get you what you need to get that message to the people of your district so you can represent them in Congress come November. So excited for you. Clara, thank you for being here. Everyone who's here and supporting, if you donated to David, donate some more right now. I'm going to donate some more right now. If you have the capacity to do so, get in on it, because that's what today is about, is getting David and his campaign what they need to fight, win. So let's go. Let's give him what he needs, and let's get out there and act.
Let's go.
On our own behalf. On our own behalf. Let's not settle.
Yes. Thank you so much, Andrew, for taking your time to be with us today.
No problem.
Yeah.
Always. Thank you all so much. Really, David Kim, the future, the president.
Yes.
Hopefully, we can make him the president in like a month.
Yay, 2024! All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that was amazing, guys. Thank you so much. Clara, I don't know if you thought of doing Twitch concerts, but that would be it would be healing so many people right now. We would just need music and that extra connection. That was so good. Thank you for performing for the first time in
I'm
heaven.
glad.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right,
Thank
guys.
you. All right. Cool. Well, I think.
All right, guys. Well, that was that, I guess. Yeah, so I'm gonna try and figure out what the hell I did wrong to get this. I gotta figure out how to redo this and go to Twitch or something. I'm not sure. But I'll be going live again later. Hopefully, I can figure this out. At 4:30. Is it 4:30 Eastern? Yeah, 4:30 Eastern to 6 p.m. Eastern is the discussion panel, the Prop 24 discussion panel, Andrew Yang. So I gotta go get some lunch, do some stuff with the kids. I'll be back at 4:30, about an hour and a half. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. See you guys later. Gang, gang.